Hello and welcome to again week 3. Let's get started lying on our backs. All you're going to need today is a comfortable space to lie down, your strap. And if you don't have a strap for whatever reason, you can't find it, don't worry. You can use a belt, you can use a long towel, you can use a long sock, you can use pantyhose, you can use a rolled up t-shirt, whatever you can find around the house, because we won't always bring this around with us. But this practice is so amazing for what we do as hygienists and supporting you. So let's get started lying down. All right, guys, let's get started. So we are going to find ourselves in a comfortable position here, lying down. And I have a blanket underneath the back of my head that just feels more comfortable for me. Some of you might want to actually prop yours up a little bit more. Totally up to you. Do what feels good. And so when we do find ourselves lying down, what I'm going to have you do is do one of two things. Either extend both of your legs so that the legs are fully extended. If you do this, make sure that it feels supportive for your back, because it doesn't always feel good. And if you can see and you can look at my back, when I extend my legs, although it doesn't bother me necessarily, my back does feel more supported when I have a bend in my knees, and usually a blanket or something underneath, a pillow underneath the knees feels really good. And that allows my low back, because mine is overarched and a lot of females are as well, that allows my low back to reach a little bit more towards the floor and feel more supported. So the other option, if you don't have a blanket to roll under, or a blanket or a pillow to put under there, go ahead and bend your knees and come into what I call constructive rest pose. We did this last week, where the feet are a little bit wider than hip distance. If you have a mat, it's out towards the edge of your mat, and the knees draw towards each other. So wherever you're at, just bring your hands either out to the side or onto the belly, and allow the eyes to close when you feel ready. And just take a few long, steady breaths here. Long, full inhale through the nose, or gently parted lips if you have allergies, you're not feeling well. And a long exhale either out the nose or through gently parted lips. So inhale. Let the next few breaths get longer with each inhale you take. And allow the next few breaths to get even slower. Each inhale getting longer, more full. Each exhale longer and slower. Starting to fill up the belly, the sides of your ribs, all the way up towards the chest, the collarbone, and a long exhale. Good. All right. Then I want you to just bring your awareness, like I talked about in the video before, to your hips, your pelvis. And imagine the pelvis, although you're not sitting, imagine that like you are sitting, right? And your spine is really long. Bring the awareness to the neutrality of your pelvis. So whether you're arching and leaning and the belly reaches forward, an anterior tilt, or it's a big round and it's a posterior tilt, and that might mean and indicate that you have a little bit tighter hips and low back. And see if you can just bring it somewhere that feels neutral, so that there is going to be a little space between your low back and the ground, but that it feels like the spine is fully supported and long. Okay. And then we're going to start with one leg. Let's hug your right knee in towards the chest, and either bring your hands in front of the shin or behind your thigh, and just relax the shoulders, relax the back of your head down. And we're just going to do some really easy hip circles here. So your hands can stay on the leg, or you can bring your right hand on and just start really slowly. And become aware of what's happening when you move with your left hip. And could you keep your left hip fairly rooted on the ground? It's going to move a tiny bit. But the more that this left hip, we bring it along for the ride with us, the more we can cause instability in our hips, in our low back. So switch the directions of your circle, just getting some circulation into our hip joint, into the inner part of your thigh, the outer part of your thigh. Good. And then hug the knee back in towards the chest and bring your hands behind that right thigh. With an inhale, press your hands into the thigh so the arms extend, or press your leg into your hands. There we go. Inhale, extend your right leg up so the heel reaches up towards the ceiling. Probably feeling a stretch down the back of your leg. That's great. Spread the toes a little bit and even draw the pinky toe back towards you. And then slowly just begin to roll the ankle. Rolling it one way, all the way. Rolling it the other way. Good. And then draw the toes back towards you. Take a big inhale. And as you exhale, bend your right leg. And then inhale, extends the leg up. And bend. One more time. Inhale, extend. Good. Exhale, bend. Bring the foot down. And just notice how that feels. So for me, just getting into my outer hip, getting into the back of the leg, I already feel a little bit of a difference down by my low back. So on your next exhale, hug your left knee in. Can you keep your right hip rooted and do small circles on this side? Good, and then switch the directions. Awesome. And then hug the knee back in, interlace your hands behind that left thigh. Let the shoulders relax, and then press your leg into your hands so your arms extend. Inhale, extend your left leg. Good, might be completely different on this side, but slowly begin to spread your toes and roll the ankle. And roll it the other way. Noticing the slower you go, the more you might become aware of what's happening. Good, and then go ahead and bend that leg, bring the foot down, and just notice how you feel. So we're gonna do a bridge pose here just to get into the front of the hips, and then we're gonna get into the back of the hips with the strap. So if you have a big blanket behind the back of your head, I'm gonna ask that you slide that out of the way. I'll do that the same with mine. And then go ahead and find yourself in a bridge pose so that the heels are right in front of your sit bones, and they're about parallel, and they're hip bone distance apart. When I say hip bone, I mean literally these bony protrusions, not outer hip. Okay, I know as females, we think our hips are extremely wide. Spread the toes of both of your feet, and then press into your big toe mound, your little toe mound, in the center of your heel. Good. You'll probably feel the legs turn on in a bigger little way. And bring the arms down by your side. Take an inhale as you press your arms, your shoulders, and the back of your head down. As you exhale, just gently hug the belly towards the spine, round the back, lift your hips. So this is bridge pose. We'll inhale here. Keep looking straight up as long as that feels good. That's better for your neck than turning side to side. And then on your next exhale, hug the belly in, round, and lower down. And we'll do that 3 to 4 more times. So inhale, we stay. Press your head, press your shoulders, press your feet down. As you exhale, hug the belly in, slowly round, lift your hips up. Inhale here, big inhale up to the chest. Exhale, hug the belly in, round, and lower as if you could lower vertebrae by vertebrae. Inhale again, staying here. Exhale, belly hugs towards the spine, round and lift your hips. Beautiful. Inhale here. And exhale, hug in, lower down. We'll do it one more time. You might notice one side is a little bit stronger than the other in your legs and your hips. One more time. Inhale here. Exhale, belly hugs in, round and lift. This time we're going to stay up for a few breaths. If it feels within your reach, bring your hands and interlace them underneath your sacrum or your hips, your low back. And then hug your shoulder blades towards each other. Keep the toes nice and spread, the heels, the center heel, pressing down, and take a few deep breaths into the front of your chest. And you might be able to keep hugging the belly towards the spine so you get a little bit into the fronts of the hips here, your hip flexors. 2 more big breaths. And then on your next exhale, hug the belly towards the spine, round and lower down. And just pause here. Notice how that feels. Good. All right, guys, we're going to add on here. So you're going to take your strap. You're going to unroll the strap all the way. Again, if you don't have a strap right now, that's okay. You really don't need anything. I just like to have something, but you could always use a rolled up blanket or sock or belt, scarf, and then hug your right knee in towards the chest. We're going to loop the strap right where the ball and the arch of our right foot meet, and with an inhale, extend that right leg up. And I always like to walk my arms up the strap so my arms feel long, but the tops of my arms, my shoulders relax. Whether they're touching the floor or not, the goal is that they keep relaxing and we're not doing all the work with our shoulders. Now bend that knee, the right knee, as much as you need to be able to breathe steadily here. So our hamstrings, or the undercarriage of our legs, the backs of our thighs, tend to get really, really tight. And again, they can pull on the muscles that lead to our low back, and they can actually cause or worsen low back pain. So we're going to spend a little bit today with the strap getting into the hips and noticing how that feels for the rest of our body. So let's take 5 more breaths here. I know, 5 long, full breaths. Imagine that with each inhale you take, you could create more space wherever it feels super tight. However it feels resistant, your inhale moves to that space. And with each exhale you take, there's an opportunity to soften or to let go just a little bit. Good, and then let's bring now the strap into our right hand, guide the leg out to the right. And I always like to have my upper right arm, kind of rest on the floor so that I don't do quite as much work with my arm, with my shoulder. Now another lucky thing, if this is you, is you could bring your block under this right hip so it prevents how far it opens. Another way to do this is if you had something to lean on, a table, something like that. And again, we're just, as you can probably feel, getting into the inner part of your thigh. So just take some deep breaths. Remembering that the slower and more mindful we are when we're breathing and stretching, the more we're telling our body that we're okay, that it's safe to relax and let go. But it's when we're forcing the breath, not taking deep breaths, not really mindful of what's happening, that our body almost becomes tighter. It doesn't want to relax, to loosen. And again, we need to release tension in order to release pain. All right, last breath here. Soften something as you exhale. Inhale, bring that leg back to center. Okay, from here, I'm going to have you keep pointing the toes back towards you, especially the pinky toe. Imagine, though, that even though the toes point back, the bottom of your foot presses towards the ceiling. And then slowly move the leg over towards the left. You can either keep your left foot on the floor, or you could extend it. And again, toes point back, press the big toe mound away from you or away from this right hip. And you're getting into the IT band, the outer part of your leg. You might feel this in the back of your leg. Notice where you do feel it. Just become aware without judging. But if this area is really tight, think of it less of, oh my God, I'm so tight, this stinks, but more of, wow, this is an opportunity for me to potentially release pain as I release the tension. Let's take 5 more breaths with that intention. Creating more space as we inhale and more softening, more letting go as you exhale. And the breath is just slow and steady. Inhale, bring the leg back to center. Go ahead and bend your leg and bring, actually let's switch sides. So we're gonna bend that right leg, bring the foot back to the floor. Just notice how that feels, the whole right side. For me, it feels almost heavier yet lighter on the right side. Just notice if you feel a difference left to right. And on your exhale, left knee hugs in. Interlace the strap right around your left, where the ball and the arch of your foot meet, and with an inhale, extend that left leg. Allow the toes of your left foot to spread and relax the shoulders. The back of your head keeps pressing down. Some deep breaths here. Inhale, more space, more ease. Exhale, a little bit more letting go, releasing. I'm feeling like this side is a little bit tighter for me. I don't know about you guys. I'm left-handed, so that's that can mean that it's tighter because I'm left-handed, but everyone's really different in how we put weight and put pressure on our body and how we wear our body. So then from here, we're gonna bring the leg out to the left. If you're lucky like me, you have a wall here that kind of prevents you from opening too much, a little more relaxing, and we'll just take some deep breaths here, trying to keep that right hip fairly rooted on the ground, even though it wants to lift up as we move over. Now, a lot of people, when they do movements like this, will extend the opposite, so in this case, the right leg. And while that can give you a little more spaciousness in the front of this right thigh, it actually can cause a little bit of an imbalance in the hips and your low back particularly. So if you have a tender low back, just be mindful. It might feel most supportive to keep this right foot or the opposite leg on the ground rather than extending it. And you'll just do what feels good in your body. I trust that. Inhale when you're ready, bring that leg to center. And toes keep spreading, pointing back towards you, but as you keep drawing the toes back, what does it feel like to imagine pressing the ball of this foot away from you or away from this left hip? And keep that going as you slowly move the leg towards the right till you feel the outer part of your leg turn on, or in my case, I actually feel a really big stretch in my hamstring, right where my hamstring meets the knee. And I'm just going to allow you and invite you to take some really long, deep breaths here. Allowing yourself to stay just present in your body, present in the breath, without drifting off, which is really easy to do, but just staying really focused and aware and intentional with your movement. Let's do one more long, full inhale. And bring the leg back to center on the next inhale. Take the strap out, release the strap, bring it out to the side, and then hug both knees in towards the chest. You might roll your ankle. You might rock side to side. Good, and then just bring the feet down and notice how that feels. We're gonna come into a hip opener from here. So you're gonna bring that right foot across your left thigh and spread the toes of your right foot and hug them back towards you. That protects your knee. And then you're either going to stay here if you feel a good stretch in the outer part of your right hip, or lift your left leg and interlace your hands either behind your left thigh or in front of the shin. And again, could you relax the shoulders, your jaw, your eyes? Take some deep breaths here. So the series we just did, I call it strapasana because there's no really fancy name for it, but although it felt probably to you like that took a long time, I would actually encourage you to do that regularly and even for longer. So pause the video and hold for longer with all of these, if that feels good for you. And then notice, bring the awareness to your left knee and just imagine doing super small circles with your left knee as if you had a pen on your left knee and you were going to draw circles on the ceiling. You can see my movement. It's not super fast, super jerky. It's just slow and steady. And you might notice that you'll find a different area or increase the sensation through your right hip. Good. And then from here, we're going to come into a twist. So bring the arms out either into a T or bend to the elbow. As you exhale, shift your hips over towards the the left. Good. And then if it feels good, you can gaze either away from your legs or towards your legs. Towards your legs, you might be able to, if you look towards your legs, then you can get a little stretch in the right arm, right shoulder, right side of your chest. And if you want more stretch in this right hip, guide the legs up towards the left shoulder. And vice versa, if you want less stretch, you'll move them away. Deep breath in and out. And same thing, you might be feeling this kind of up the outside of your right hip. Just notice that. One more breath. And then slowly bring the legs back up to center. Adjust your hips, lower your right foot and your left foot. And just notice how that feels. And we'll do the other side. So left foot to right thigh. You'll flex your left ankle so the toes point back towards your knee. And then either stay there or bring your hands in and interlace them behind your right thigh or in front of your right shin. And just notice when you did that, did your chin jut up towards the ceiling, and could you lengthen the back of your neck, soften your shoulders towards the floor. They don't have to necessarily touch the floor, but the idea that they keep relaxing, they're not hiking up towards your ears. Notice how this side feels, and then you might do those small circles with your right knee now. Again, as if you're drawing little circles on the ceiling. Long breaths in, long breaths out. Good, and then if you want, when you're ready, you'll come into that twist. So we'll bring the outer right leg and your left foot to the ground. And if it doesn't feel like you can go all the way, you can bring a blanket underneath your right thigh. And then again, either gaze towards the legs and get a little stretch in the left side of your chest, left arm, or you could gaze up or away from the legs. Just notice what would feel good in your body and take some deep breaths. If you want a deeper stretch in the left hip, you'll guide the legs up towards your right shoulder and vice versa. If you want less, you'll move it away. Big inhale and a big exhale. Last big breath. Inhale, come back to center. Adjust the legs, bring the feet down. Notice how that feels. And then we'll finish with a happy baby. So hug your knees towards the chest and bring your hands behind your thighs. And then move the knees out towards your shoulders. Keep your knees bent. Lift your feet up towards the ceiling. And you can keep your hands on the backs of your thighs. You can reach them up to the shins or hands on the feet. And It might feel good to stay here. It might feel good to rock a little side to side, to extend one leg and then the other. And then when you're ready, bring the feet back down. Just notice how this practice felt. And if you'd like to rest here, please feel free. Just take a big inhale through the nose and a long exhale out the mouth. Twice more. Inhale through your nose. Exhale out the mouth. And again. Thank you for practicing.